What's going on, guys? It's Unknown Player here, and today, once again, we're going to be going over the latest Destiny news straight from Bungie about Destiny, what's happening in the game now, and some things we can look forward to in the future. So also there's nothing huge like information about the fall expansion or anything like that. I'd expect that news to start to ramp up around E3 time, but for now we do have some pretty interesting things and announcements to talk about. So the first announcement is that Bungie have confirmed they are working and releasing very soon their own LFG system. So what LFG is, if you don't know, is basically looking for group, and what it's used for is essentially a matchmaking for external activities like the endgame of Destiny. So a lot of activities which don't actually have matchmaking in the game, so things like the raids, things like Challenge of the Elders, the old Prison of the Elders, and also some things like Trials, and also even Nightfalls, for example. These things don't have matchmaking, and a lot of people will seek these external sites, and a lot of them are very, very good and very well built, and they will basically find you some teams of people where you can pair up with other people looking to do the same activities, like a raid, for example, and it's basically a way to find other Guardians to do these activities, which of course don't have matchmaking. Now, Bungie, for the longest time since Destiny launch, have always been very clear about why they do not want matchmaking for some of the endgame activities like Nightfalls and especially raids. It's been a very hot topic of the community and been widely debated since Destiny's launch of should the raids have matchmaking, and there are a lot of people who believe they should have matchmaking, and you should be able to just hop in with any random people, and it's down to that player whether they want to communicate with the others and obviously try their hardest to get through this activity, because raids are very, very difficult. So they believe they should be match made, and then it's down to the player whether they want to communicate and actually work hard, or whether they just get stuck for a while and won't be able to complete it. There are of course some people on the other side who completely think there should not be matchmaking in the raids and should be left how it is, where you have to go and try and seek other players like friends or forums or LFG sites like we have right now to try and complete it. And they believe that if there was matchmaking, then it would be a complete mess, and there'd be a lot of inexperienced people who have never done it before, and casual players who would hop into the raid and basically be completely out of their element and have no idea what to do and basically be stuck, and that'd be a bad experience for them. So those are the two sides of the argument. Let me know in the comment section, what side are you on? Do you think there should or shouldn't be matchmaking in the raids and the endgame activities? But essentially it's been a very interesting topic where Bungie would not do matchmaking for the endgame activities, but now it seems they're going to be supporting an official LFG system. I personally can see both sides, and I do not think there is one clear answer on how to do this. I think there's definitely pros and cons to both sides, and I think this is probably the closest and best solution they can come up with, is an official Bungie supported LFG site where you can basically find other people and invite them. And you can see on screen right now some images of what the site will look like. It's under the recruitment tab on the Bungie.net forum, which will be accessible on your iPhone, your iPad, your Android device, or your computer, of course, and this is what it's going to look like. So if you've been on an LFG site, this probably looks familiar to you. If you haven't been on one, then this is essentially the format. You've got the different tabs, which are different people or groups looking for more players. This top one you can see is on the Xbox. You can see different platforms are on Xbox or PS4. So this guy's on the Xbox and he's looking for 2 more players to do the Nightfall with him. You can tell it's one person, and it's the Heroic Nightfall on Xbox One and Guide Needed. So that means he's basically a newbie to the actual Nightfalls, and he will need some help. So you can see his skill level, and you can see what you're kind of getting into before you get into it. The next one is the Crota's End Raid in Heroic on PS4 and Guide Needed again, so he's probably inexperienced. The next one is a Nightfall again, and you can see he doesn't have Guide Needed, so he probably knows what he's doing. The next one is Iron Banner, again, newbies welcome, just saying that it's very friendly, doesn't really require you to be good. And the final one is Need Help with the Daughters in the Kingsfall Raid, of course, on PS4. So you can see the different criteria, and if you wanted to hop on and maybe think I want to play with more players for the Iron Banner, or if you need to say the Cloak, and you want to try and do the Daughters section, you go on the LFG website or this recruitment tab on Bungie.net, and you basically look for someone who is at their Daughters checkpoint. Then once you see that guy at the bottom who is exactly where you want to go, you essentially click on his name probably, send him a message, add him on PSN, and of course join his fire team. And that's essentially how the LFG works. That's how the Bungie.net version is going to work as well. Now, of course, that is the version where you can seek other Guardians. There is one where you can set up your own group and set up your own activity. You can see it on screen right now. You can see the select platform, activity, the spots needed, guide options, microphone required, which is quite an important one. If you're doing a raid for the first time, you definitely want a microphone. And that's basically a preview of what this LFG will look like from Bungie. They said we should be seeing this as early as next week, which is really cool to know. Now, on top of that, they also mentioned how their patches for the melee fixes have been going underway. They said that on Tuesday they introduced the first patch, which is the safer one and probably least likely to break other stuff and cause other bugs. And they added that, and they said it went down well. And then on Wednesday they added more riskier fixes, which essentially is like a more likely way to break something else or cause some other bug. So I guess it's more risky. And they said it's gone down well, but they said to make sure to tell them if your melee seemed broken. That is of course the thing I've talked about in my last 2 news videos, talking about how the blade dance and the shoulder charge can be fixed, and the melee registration in general is going to be a lot better, and you won't kind of whiff the air anymore. So that is the melee fixes going down. Apparently it's gone down well, but of course do let Bungie know if you notice any bugs or glitches, or if your melees aren't working like they're supposed to. And it seems like the melee fixes have gone down well. One other thing they did say is they will be announcing the next Iron Banner and showing off Lord Saladin's new inventory in the next blog post next Thursday, of course. So if they're announcing and showing off the new Saladin inventory on Thursday, that means the next Iron Banner will probably be on the 24th of this month. So expect an Iron Banner to be running from the 24th. That's probably when we can expect it. And of course, you don't know if it will be Rift or Control. They haven't done Rift in a while, so I'm feeling like it probably will be. A lot of people love Rift and a lot of people didn't like it, but expect the Iron Banner to be running in another week and a half. So of course, like I said in last week's video, Bungie are doing 3 streams, which is basically me going through the world of Destiny and how talking about some art, some concepts with designers and Bungie employees of how they build the game. They did one yesterday, which is about the art of Destiny, a lot of concepts, which is really, really interesting. I'll link it in the description if you want to watch it, but I'll summarize it in this video and a lot of the interesting things they talked about. So they got a lot of people who basically designed some of the worlds and weapons and the characters of Destiny. The first one was through the Cosmodrome and looking at the actual colony ships and how they designed those. And it's really interesting to see how the actual landscape when the very old version of Destiny transformed from like basically nothing to actually these massive colony ships and the design of them, the rockets, all that stuff like that. You can see some very, very old pictures of a dated looking Destiny. You can see how that developed to eventually where we got in the Taken King. We got to actually go into the colony ship and have a mission in there and fight one of the Shades of Oryx. So very interesting development right there. They also showed a bunch of the concepts behind the Sleeper Stimulant and how they built the thing and how it developed over time, which I think is one of the best looking weapons in Destiny. Definitely the Taken King anyway. I love the look of the thing. Just an amazing looking space laser. And it's really cool to see the designs and the concept of how much time they put into actually working out how to make the thing look, and some images of how to actually design the thing based off like stealth bombers and some NASA tech and space shuttles and stuff like that. They also talked about the concepts for a lot of the logos you see in game, like the companies, the factions, the vendors, weapon designers and stuff like that you'll see on screen right now, and also some of them that made it into emblems and also cloaks that you can actually wear on your Guardian. And the process of designing the actual Warlock logo of the 3 kind of triangles, you can see where it began and where it is actually right now in the game. They also went some of the character development, someone who actually created the character for Eris and designed them. The actual character originally was called Edis the Hidden, which is a kind of a fun fact, and the character looks completely different. Then later on they actually gave her a face and a mouth so you could relate to her, and she is more of an actual interactable character in the tower and was this very mysterious, weird looking character, I guess, like Zer. But they made her more humanized. It was very interesting again just to hear how they actually went through the concepts and how she changed and how Eris Morn became the character that we know right now and today. They also showed a lot of the concepts behind Oryx and his Dreadnought, and some of the times you'd encounter him, what he used to look like. One of the old designs that showed his wings that used to actually be like a galaxy and it looked really, really weird and like all pink. And then finally they showed off some of the weapon designs, some of the exotics. So beginning with the Arcus regime, which is the old name for the Cerus regime. It was called the Arcus regime before, and they discovered there was actually a company already that makes weapons called Arcus. So they had to change to Ceros, and that's again another kind of funny fact about the exotics. And they finished off the stream by showing off the Yellowhorn, some of the concepts behind that, which is really awesome to see because that was one of the most fan-favored weapons and definitely has a lot of history behind it. So it's really cool to see the Yellowhorn, how it was designed, some of the concept images of how it was actually created. So that was a roundup of all the latest Destiny news and information. If you guys enjoyed the video, you can drop a like rating, I'd appreciate that. Subscribe for more videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.